Hey, this is Casey with IPD Graphics. Today we're going to cover tips and tricks on how to better install your new IPD Graphic Kit using this 800 SXR. All the tricks we use today are going to be universal, whether it's a runabout, stand-up, or boat. Let's get into it and have some fun. Here's the tools we use for a typical install. Soft microfiber rags, scissors to cut out the pieces, denatured alcohol instead of acetone, X-Acto knife with sharp blades, soft squeegee, low-tack painter's tape, heat gun, and rapid tack solution. Next, we're going to cut out the pieces. Make sure to make the cuts tight around the graphics, and then we're going to place the pieces on the ski to get a rough estimate to see where the pieces are going to lay. All right, the next step after figuring out where your pieces are going to lay on the ski by taping them on, now we're going to remove anything that might get in the way of installing the actual pieces. So we've removed the bypasses, the bypass fitting for the water, and we've loosened up the bumper to take that off. Now this is really important for if you have a runabout. A lot of times there's rear bumpers. We designed the kits to actually go underneath the bumpers. So don't get lazy. This is a very important step. If you remove the bumper corners that might be on any part of the ski, front, rear, it's always better because you can get your pieces placed exactly where you want them and then just put your bumper on, and then you have a nice smooth transition right into the bumpers. On most watercraft, we do start with the back piece, a rear side piece on the outside of the gunwale. Same thing with runabouts, is you kind of build off of that piece. Piece is oversized, and that is very intentional for use of different types of rail caps. For example, the stock rail caps, we like to take this excess and tuck it in underneath the foam so it disappears underneath that. With this one, it's gonna go over that. You're gonna install it over, and then you're just gonna take a knife and trim it. We have a little scuff up here in the front. I can actually move that forward a little bit and set it to cover some of that scuff. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility to be able to do that. Now it's time to prep the ski for the graphic install using denatured alcohol. Be sure to remove the hood and get the edge underneath because the graphics will roll into this area. After prepping the ski, it's now time to start to put on the actual pieces onto the ski. We put the pieces on wet. It makes the installation a lot easier. We recommend a solution called Rapid Tack, which I've poured into this bottle to make it easier to spray on there. We do not recommend soapy water. A lot of people try to use that. It actually lowers the tack of the graphics, so we do not recommend soapy water because the soap doesn't evaporate and it can cause issues once you hit the water. Just spray on very generously. Spray the ski very generously, and you'll see once everything's wet, everything slides around nice in place. Makes it really easy to navigate. And if you're starting to get bubbles, pull that piece back again and spray that area again. This is a very curvy area. It has a big complex curve in it. So what you want to do, and this is the nice thing about the being able to slide the graphics around as well, is you want to make sure when you start to squeegee this out, your wrinkles are evenly placed around the whole curve. If you bunch up the wrinkles in one area, you're never going to get that wrinkle out. You're going to have to end up trimming it and overlap it. So you want to spread the wrinkles out, use a little bit of heat and a soft squeegee, because if you don't use a soft squeegee, or if you try to use a credit card, it will scratch the laminate, and of course you don't want that. All right, so now it's time to install the graphics. I'm going to spray this one more time, and we're gonna give it a go. The last thing we got to do is trim the seam for the hood. There is a very good reason why we don't pre-cut this line. If we pre-cut this line, it's going to stick you with a certain pattern. It has to go a certain way. And what happens is these hoods, as you can see right here, they don't ever fit the same ski to ski. You'll have more gap with some skis, you'll have less gap with some skis. You're never going to have lines that line up perfect if we pre-cut those lines. Another reason we do it that way is when you're putting these on, you're moving all your lines like we told you previous to get them all even every way, then you'll get stuck. If everything's pre-cut, it's not going to line up here or it's not going to line up there. So we found it's just easier to just get it all installed all in one piece. Then after that, we take our heat gun and then you just warm it up a little bit right here. along this edge, just because it makes it more like, hot knife through butter. And then you just make sure you put a fresh blade, always a fresh blade whenever you're cutting. If not, it'll create a waviness to it. So a fresh blade cuts a straighter line. And then when you're cutting it, you want to turn the blade towards the top of the hood. You want to cut along the top line, not the bottom line. And then after you've cut all the way through it, all across, then you take your squeegee and you fold this over. That way, whenever you're looking at the hood, you always see a nice, good graphic that runs inside, and you're not looking at a white stripe under there. And it looks really nice and clean. All right, that's pretty much it. The ski came out great. Project was fun. The only thing to maybe cover is maintenance. There's really not a lot of special maintenance you need to do the graphics. It's covered with a UV laminate. All of our graphics are. As far as waxing, you can wax. You don't want to use any kind of cut and buff type situation because it can actually pull the graphics off. But you can always hand buff or hand wax. As far as the points, when you rub it against the points, you want to be a little bit careful about that. Other than that, just enjoy and ride, and we appreciate you guys as customers. Thanks for taking a look, and we hope to hear from you soon.